Hi, good evening, and welcome to this evening's video blog on the Vision Root channel. Tonight I'd like to talk about subduing the fleshly desires. So I'll start out with our scripture reading. It's from World Scripture 2 and the teachings of Sun Myung Moon. Put to death what is earthly in you: fornication, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry. On account of these, the wrath of God is coming. In these you once walked when you lived in them, but now put them all away: anger, wrath, malice, slander, and foul talk from your mouth. That's from Colossians chapter 3, verses 5 through 8. It's also in World Scripture 2 on page 895. And also from the teachings of True Father, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. The true religious life starts from denying all relationships with the body. If you read the scriptures, can you find any guidance about eating good food and leading an easy life? It is impossible to find such guidance. Religion teaches you to serve, sacrifice, be gentle, and humble. Therefore, religious people pray for the sake of others, even at the risk of their lives. The body by itself cannot do this. In this way, you can knock down your body. The mind and body fight when they have the same amount of strength, so you should make effort to weaken your body. When your mind can subdue your weakened body for several months, then even after the body regains its strength, it will follow the mind out of habit. When you reach such a level, you will find that your plans turn out well, having support from heaven. Then it will be difficult to lead the life you led in the past. You will gravitate towards living an upright life according to your conscience. This is the purpose of the religious life. That's on pages 895 to 896, World Scripture 2. So here, Father Moon talks about, again, following your conscience and subduing your body. And we know that all religions teach us to subdue our body and our fleshly desires. And we also have the same theme that we talked about in yesterday's installment about, self-denial. So it's gaining your life by losing your life. So that's a very important concept when we're teaching the religious life. I also want to share an experience tonight I had. So Hyung Jim talks about, opening the Bible to get inspiration. Well, another thing you could do if you're a subscriber to Daily Inspiration, on the tag cloud on the right, we've been putting it on the blog for about a year and a half. You'll find many, many topics. So just randomly, I just felt inspired to click on the topic of Antichrist. I had no reason. I had no forethought. And then I was just blown away by what was there. So I'm going to share a little bit from that as well. And you can do the same if you go on inspiration.visionroot.org. You'll find the topic of Antichrist. These are readings that we selected, or I selected, back in November. But I just happened to be looking at them. The beast or the Antichrist. Children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard, the Antichrist is coming. So now many Antichrists have come. Therefore we know that it is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out, that it might be plain that they all are not of us. But you have been anointed by the Holy One, and you all know. I write to you not because you do not know the truth, but because you know it, and know that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar but he who denies that Jesus is the Christ? This is the Antichrist, he who denies the Father and the Son. 1 John chapter 2, verse 18 through 20. World Scripture 2, page 526. And the teachings of Father Moon. Who would have known that the disciples would stand in the position of the Antichrist before Jesus? Who would have known that the chosen Israelite people in Judaism would become the Antichrist? We must be concerned about this in the last days too. You must reflect on yourself, whether you stand in the position of the Antichrist. Now is not the time to reproach others or interfere with the affairs of others. The problem lies with you, yourselves. Other denominations that oppose us are not the problem. You must worry about the fact that you might become a Satan in the last days. Throughout the course of history, those people who blamed others for their problems have all lost. So that's from the teachings of Sun Myung Moon, also in World Scripture 2, page 526. So I went, wow, Is this about the situation that we have in the unification movement, or what? We have a situation that's hard to believe. Maybe for those just being introduced to this, if they're part of the unification movement, it's hard to believe what could have gone wrong after True Father ascended. So, as you may know, or those who are in the unification movement know, or Family Federation movement, that Father Moon ascended or died and ascended in September 12, 2012. So, since that time, there's been a lot of changes in the movement. And so what has been emphasized recently, or if you've listened to some of the sermons from the World Peace and Unification Sanctuary, is that, and you may have felt yourself, things have really veered off, from what they were before. So I was just really caught by this, saying, I was thinking, and I've had some comments on the UC and the Truth blog, oh, good and evil, that's, maybe it's ISIS or something like that in the Middle East. Well, no, Father said, don't look outside for the cause of your problems. Look inside our movement. And Father Moon is saying, wow, the disciples stood. Who would know the disciples were the Antichrist? Myself also, I was just blown away by this reading, even though I wrote this myself, back in November, and it's found in the World Scripture, and was studying it previously. I thought, wow, I wouldn't have thought, the Antichrist was, the disciples. You usually think something like, Adolf Hitler or something like that. No, but Father said the disciples and the chosen people were in the position of the Antichrist, and that's what we need to be concerned about in the last days. Wow, that is really a wake-up call. And in 1 John it says, this is Antichrist, he who denies the Father and the Son. I was just blown away by that. So think about it, could this apply to our movement? Well, True Father wrote these words, and he's talking about the situation of the people of Israel. Are we not in the same situation today with the second advent of Christ, with, Father Moon, true parents here? Should we not, think about if something could have gone wrong? As I mentioned, in my, previously, I wrote a letter to the community and talked about that, Mother Moon had ate the apple of power, meaning she left the position as a bride of Christ and is taking a different position. Even if you're not religious or spiritual, I think you could agree there's been drastic changes in our movement, and not just changing the scriptures, but the spirit of the movement has changed. And so this is something to really be aware of. Has something gone terribly wrong? Have not just the disciples, but even the bride of Christ left their position? Father Moon incredibly warned us in this passage right here from World Scriptures. Who would have known that the chosen Israelite people in Judaism would become the Antichrist? Who would have known that the disciples would stand in the position of Antichrist before Jesus? So that's my reflection for this evening. I hope it's helpful. Let's all be prayerful. Let's all chasten our hearts. And we'll see you in the next installment. And have a great evening. This is your host, Richard Urban. Thank you for listening.